Should share this one on the thing.
What's up, everybody? Okay, there's some dialogue going on out there, some cosmic dialogue, and Del caught wind of it. So let's discuss. We've got a really cool clip for you.
Oh shit, my bad.
You sharing?
Yeah. I was like, oh, my bad.
Drop an emoji to say hello. We appreciate you being here. Let's
Whoever the one is, like Neo.
Yes, you are the one. Welcome.
Congratulations, you won a prize of life.
Right.
So, to give some context to what we're about to share, this is one of the podcasts that I listen to, Joe Budden podcast. So, for those of you who don't know, Joe Budden is a rapper turned into now he does his own podcast show. But right now he's going through his own collective healing process in which things get to surface, but he's actually acknowledging his faults with things and he's healing through it. I'm a fan of Joe Budden because his music, when he did his music, helped me through my depression. But what he mentioned in here is a very, very interesting topic. And he talked about free will. That's why the title of our thing is Free Will. So we wanted to show you guys a snippet of that. And then from there, we're just going to have an open dialogue and see where it goes. So roll the film.
Here we go.
What was we talking about?
Free will.
Free will.
And the UFOs before that. We're talking about free will.
We just are our teachings. And the second that we learn, well, we're born and then all we do here is learn. The second that we learn that everything that we've learned is wrong, we realize, oh, free will is a myth. We're going to be here. We're going to try to leave this worthless paper, dyed paper to our kids. Hey, and our kids might be knuckleheads enough to blow it or do something with it, but we won't be here to see it regardless. Free will and what? At one point, you're going to learn everything you worked for in life could be jeopardized in a moment's instance.
Still doesn't negate the worth or the value. Like when you start,
who was determining the worth and the value of things? Back to the illusion of free. Then free will is an illusion. Then free will is an illusion, and you better get with some. And you better get with some internal happiness. And what makes you feel good during your fucking time here? Because anything other than that, as you age, you learn it's a fucking myth.
No, because you're thinking.
All right.
Yeah. We don't have anyone here, but it's totally fine. So, free will. In that video, Joe Budden mentioned how he felt that free will was a myth. We don't have free will because of the fact of those things that he mentioned, like pursuing money, having a lot of money, making sure that you have money saved up. So when you transition on, your kids are taken care of, your kids are good. And it struck me when I was hearing that because the monetary thing of taking care of your kid is making sure externally that they're good. But what about internally making sure that your kids are good and also internally making sure that you're good? What can happen in this pursuit, and it happens all over universally, this pursuit of money can have us a slave when we're driven 100% on money, and not taking that time for finding our internal happiness, our own internal being, how we're doing, what makes us happy, and also doing that type of stuff. I mean, it's great to have like the money and the savings for that. But what he mentioned before that, and I was like, I don't even know if I want to share it or not, but he was talking about his son, how his son takes on so much information from him, from the way that he acts and things that he does. And he can be kiddingly saying something, but his kids takes on that information. And with his son taking on that information, the kid's just going to act out. And it brought presence to me because I'm like, how many of us all together, like we seen things as a kid from the way that our parents acted, or maybe an adult figure or an older figure acting a certain way, and we felt that that was the right way to act. And so we did it. We did whatever we saw what was in front of us, stuff that we learned as a kid. But then eventually, when you start to get older, well, most of us, some of us, we don't come to this realization of like, wait a second, like I'm doing the stuff that like other people told me I should do, but it doesn't bring happiness and joy for me by doing these things. But I feel that it's the right thing to do. I got to do the right thing in the pursuit of all these other stuff. It's a very eye-opening thing. But what he said about your happiness, your inner happiness of taking care of yourself, or finding out what makes you happy in your time that you're here, so that way you can actually live some sort of life of happiness. Don't really see that. We hear the pump of do all these things all the time, being busy, being distracted, pursuit of money, hustle, survive. And they mentioned in the episode 2 of caveman instincts, like the back in the days of being a caveman, and they really had to survive, like either hunt or you don't eat. You fish or you don't eat. You have to protect yourself or you don't eat. And just how that energy now is still playing out of that survival. Tell me, what are your thoughts?
This had me thinking about like what free will actually means. So what I got from what Joe Budden was saying is that like, we don't have free will in terms of whether we want to die or not. That's going to happen no matter what it is that we do, but that's not will. Will is something that happens internally. And it can be manifested externally, but it's an event that happens internally. So you can have the will to live, but be dying. So if you have free will, that means that you get to choose what is going on in your internal environment, no matter what the external circumstances are. And with that, I really connect to what you were saying, Del, is that, you can give the gift of free will to your child by having them, actually understand that like fully. And that makes them, the master of their own universe, which is pretty cool. But otherwise, the societal norms and the, constructs that were built are for the gain of the other.
Just like ponder this for a moment. This from us, all of us as a kid up to an adult, how much free will do we had like given to us as a kid?
But can it actually be given?
But I'm just saying the illusion that it could be given. Meaning like, and kudos to like the parents and everybody trying to keep it protective and stuff like that, but just how limited it could potentially be by being molded for whatever your parents and whoever's around you all the time, their own beliefs, if they don't have that open mind about things. And also, like you said, the free will and the internals that happen. And to even go deeper with the whole free will thing.
Before you change the subject, though, with that, like, I think that's a perfect example of free will.
Why? Because
your parents have free will, too.
Free will for what?
To parent the way that they want to parent.
That's true. But I'm just saying, does the child have free will whether or not to like question whatever the beliefs may be from that parent?
Internal. Free will is internal. They don't have free will to do that external because that's not will. They can question it, but they can question it inside.
But I'm just saying, like, let's say like in this type of conversation, like having a dialogue in which somebody may not agree with what the other person says, do they have the free will of like potentially going like, wait a second, like why do you do this thing this way? And prime example, like saying it to a parent, like, oh, why do I gotta do this? Because I said so. Never having like that real dialogue, like, okay, why do I need to do this?
Right, because kids, they don't do what you say. Kids do what you do. So if you say, because I said so, you're actually modeling free will to that child.
No, because like, especially in Black society or a lot of our family upbringings, but also it could be universally as well. I haven't got raised in different cultures like that, but it's if you try to step up to your parent or with these questions, there's a high probability you're going to get your ass whooped.
Right, and that's where you misunderstand. Free will is internal. You don't have to say these things. That's why a lot of kids, they go and they go into their room and then they go into their imaginary world. They play with their imaginary friends. Like all of that is internal. Yes, the external structures are there. They're everywhere. They're in parenting. They're in corporate America. They're in all of these things. But free will is what you do inside.
Talk more about that.
It doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing, what my upbringing is, the kid. I can choose to be happy on the inside, or I can choose to be a victim on the inside, or I can choose to be sad and upset. I may not know that I have that choice, but I still have it.
That's what I meant, or that's where I was trying to get to. But thanks for getting in there, of not knowing the free will. And then what I was about to say to go deeper is free will is abundance, like you just said. And the next thing I was also about to say is just how we can't predict how life is going to be, what's going to happen to us in 24 hours of the day. But that free will, like you said, it is a choice of how I'm going to respond to what happens, meaning whatever comes our way.
It reminds me of a show that I was watching called The Magicians. And in order to have like people's superpowers come up, they would like put them under a lot of pressure. Actually, they would make them angry. They would make the person angry, and then all of a sudden their superpowers would come out. And I feel like that's what the structures and the societal norms and even the constructs of religion and, corporate, like all of that is like the pressure to have a person be like, oh, fuck, I don't have to do any of this shit. I have, these superpowers and I have free will. So now I can exercise it because that pressure is a way to get them there.
That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it from the point of view of somebody who like recently just decided to get out of the corporate world. Just like the conditioning, like you said, the illusion that we don't have free will, the illusion, and also like you said, we do what we see as a kid or whatever. So seeing how our parents are doing stuff with the survival and working, 401k, all that stuff, insurance, stable income, that safety net, and doing that until you're whatever the age is for retirement, in the 60s. And in between that time, you're supposed to forego your happiness and forego actually doing stuff that would bring you excitement to have that stable income. So that way you can pay your bills, you can pay your rent, you can actually get the stuff that you need to deal with the fact of you're not doing the stuff that makes you happy, and then hope that you can actually make it to the time of when you can retire. So that way you can start to enjoy life. And also have life insurance, get the life insurance too. So just in case something happens, your kids and your whoever is taken care of. It's a very interesting thing, because like being pumped with that certainty, the certainty, like, okay, I'm certain that I'm going to make this, I'm going to have this money, I'm going to make whatever, I'm going to have this stable income, I'm going to have the insurance, I'm going to be good, or I'm going to be good in that way externally. Internally, I'm feeling like shit, but I'm going to put that away because I got this money coming in and things like that. I'm taking care of my kids and all these other stuff. And let's bring it present even more. Let's think about that whole pandemic thing going on, COVID thing out of nowhere. But it really brings things present, that the fact of like any moment the universe could potentially do a Thanos snap and we all disappear. But like also the fact of like this type of things brings the presence of like, yo, we're in this human suit. Any moment we can go.
This is why I try to jump in here before you change subjects. Just like I want to comment on the last subject that you were talking about and wrap it back all up into this one. And that is that, just like you said, that's one way to look at things, and there are infinite ways. And my upbringing was that I was brought up to, I was conditioned, I could even say that, to question things. I was conditioned to challenge the status quo. I went to college and there was a handful of females there. You know, I could name a million situations where that's what I was conditioned to do. And after additional observation, I still agree with that. I still agree with the way that I was brought up. So I don't necessarily feel that, that tension or that angst or that rebellion or that revolution, that internal revolution that often happens. And I acknowledge that it absolutely does. And what you're saying about how everything can change in an instant, we have so many examples of that. We just had Ethan on the podcast who, he was here with us one day, and then a couple weeks later, he left this planet. He left this reality. And, if those types of, conversations and dialogues don't make life really present, our mortality really present, and then I wonder what does for you.
Yeah. But like he also, he was in a lot of pain and stuff, but he actually knew that it was coming. So he actually was able to make peace and this stuff and everything. But there's a lot of people out there who don't know when it's coming. And it just happens. Let's say you're driving home from just having a horrible day at work and then stressing out and all this other stuff, and then boom, life changes. Like things like that. It happens all the time. And that is like what's really bringing present. Not even just that, but just think about the wars that are going on out overseas and stuff, and the Palestinians and things like that. Just like things like that, like people's lives and even our life, like these moments can get shifted like this, and in which like where we're at right now completely can alter in any moment. So that's why like really asking that question, like what makes you happy? What really makes you happy? Do you know what makes you happy? Do you like know yourself, know thyself?
It also makes me wonder, is happiness even really the goal? Like the goal? Maybe it's not. Maybe a goal could be, just being close to God. And that does not necessarily is equivocated to happiness.
Why?
It doesn't necessarily have to be.
Why?
Finding God could be a very heartbreaking, heart-opening kind of journey, and maybe just the joy and the happiness that is portrayed, oftentimes is not necessarily the only objective. It could be love. Love is not necessarily happiness. It could be a whole bunch of other things. It could be understanding. It could be compassion. It could be, finally just feeling. And feeling could be painful. There's infinite, like you always say, numbers of ways to get there. And there can be an infinite number of, ultimate goals for life. So when Joe Budden talks about, like what makes you happy, it even has me like question if happy is the thing that we're going for. And I gotta tell you, there's a lot of people that I've met that are very satisfied with being unhappy.
How are they?
We got some comments here. Yes,
let's see who that
shadow
is.
Work, and yes, discovering of the self and what it means to be human.
I want to see who that is. I don't know who this is. I'm trying to find you. I wonder if this in the group.
Well, we got 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
You can keep looking or we can keep talking. Or both.
Yeah. So I like the infinite thing with the infinite creator, or finding God pretty much, and finding that infinite space, because it's all of it all together. And even with the we were just having this conversation of like this collective energy of God, this unconditional love, and just how deeply God, source, higher power, the higher power to your understanding, I like to do it that way to get it quicker.
Mhm.
The higher power under your understanding loves each and every one of us so much unconditionally that we all have the free will of doing what we want to do with our life and our energies. I mean, of course, in it, the curveballs happen in our life, but we have the choice and free will of what we're going to do with every single thing. So, like, for this conversation, it was an eye-opener, a deeper eye-opener for me. And I was like, oh, yeah, I totally resonate with that of finding, for me, like finding what makes you happy, but deeper for me, it was like finding the connection to my soul and allowing my soul to guide me in my life more compared to my egoic side when I felt like I need to hoard more, pretty much like the caveman thing we talked about, like surviving and hoarding and getting stuff together and preparing for a potential apocalypse happening. And shout out to the Doomsday Preppers, show's pretty good. But yeah, like the hoarding and doing all that stuff in survival compared to really just finding what sets me on fire, connected to my soul and being in that space and just going from there. But also just realizing that free will, if I have free will, everyone else has free will. And if everybody else has free will, like I have free will as well, I don't need to try to tell anybody what to do with their free will. But what happens, and it's happening a lot, is we're telling each other what to do with our free will. Hence, what we were just talking about, the money situation, doing this because it's the right thing to do. How many times have we been told to do something because it's the right thing to do? And if we don't do it, whoever says the right thing to do, we may get judged and shamed and all this other stuff. But we're doing what is best for ourselves, resonating with our soul. But sometimes somebody may tell you, oh, it's not the right thing to do.
I think that's an opportunity to practice the free will.
Free will is like, okay, am I going to believe what this person says, or I'm going to listen to my soul?
You're just talking about not giving a fuck what other people say.
Yeah. But in this world, and also in the social media world, this is what's all around. Everybody has an opinion for something. For whatever one situation is, somebody sees it this way, somebody sees it this way, somebody sees it this way. This is right, this is right. Oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And I welcome being in a space of seeing the truth in everything, because it's a level of truth for each person in their own different way.
Which is exactly what our person just said. Right and wrong is also a construct and subject to each individual. So, like, what a perfect example of free will, of everyone being able to express their opinion no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Juju says, I believe we have free will. And in that space, I believe that we also enslave that free will through fear, ignorance, and the lack of choosing what's right for you.
Yeah. How much times do we live as that child that we were before, of being afraid of being punished for doing what we want to do? I've done that numerous times. But that little kid in me gets pissed off when I'm not doing what my little part wants to do, when it really is just something I just want to express myself and have fun and play.
So it all comes back to free will.
Yeah. So to answer the question to our question title, is free will a myth? Yeah. It can be that for you. That's your truth. But for me, I share my free will, what free will means to me. Kai share what free will means to her. And it's all valid because we're all living our own reality. And what we believe is how we act, and that's how the world's going to respond to us. That's the cool thing about this universal force of this infinite energy, infinite realities going on, because what we believe is what we're going to see and perceive in our reality.
So we have free will, and we have the free will to believe that it's a myth.
Exactly. I love that. That's called universal intelligence, baby.
Thanks for being here.
Stay.
Looking forward to another conversation.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do another one. We should do it tomorrow or something, but we're gonna talk next time about the government releasing the information to validate UFOs are real.
UAPs.
Oh, what is that? It's like
unidentified aerial phenomenon.
So, oh man, it's like UTI. Oh man, I got a UAP. Something Canadian thing too. Like
Yeah,
somebody's
right.
being UAP.
A U A
Hey,
A. Okay. Say the words.
stay magical.